Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle bell. Street Sleigh, Retro God, back with another banger. And on today's episode, this is the question mid street Sleigh. God, you gotta love it when these things go on sale, man. I've been waiting for a long time, and damn did it take long. In the meantime though, I noticed that the shit sold out in the States, man. So Americans love this shoe, but in Canada, this shit sat like a brick. Anyways, we about to put these hoes on the turntable, give them the 360, lift up the skirt and see what we working with. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. We're about to get into it. Alright, YouTube family, let's take a look at these question mid street sleighs and all their candy paint glory, man. I mean, these are obviously something to behold, so let's take a look at this upper real quick. As you can see here, I have both lacing setups, just in case you guys are wondering what they look like. I'm gonna use the normal pair here as to not blind you with the laces while I'm trying to describe stuff. We'll get into those in a second. This is a badass Santa Claus shoe, man. If you seen Santa roll up in the sleigh and this, I'd be like, yo, nah, what's the I pop? First thing you see here is like obviously this Reebok vector that's embroidered here on this really plush upper leather. This is like what people are talking about with Reebok. I mean, they're using this premium material and it's super soft, man. Like you know, it's one of those things that you'd find on a normal Nike under the label of premium. So that's, you know, that's one thing I really appreciate. You have a lacing system here that is almost like a speed lacing system, like what I like to call them, and it's basically like a one pull system where you pull the laces once and they tighten up really nice, but they have these plastic covers over them. And you know, I've heard of people having trouble with those, like those things crack, they get dry, and you know, they break off. I even know people that kind of cut those off to make it a little bit easier for them. But you know, your laces there, you have all black nylon laces with your occasional gloss that's actually on the lacing themselves. It kind of almost gives it like a 3M effect, like what you'd see normally on some 3M shoes, but it's not actually 3M, it's just a glossy print. Candy paint pat leather, which is so amazing on the mid portion of the shoe. Make no mistake, the candy paint's dripping on this joint. Very reminiscent of a Jordan 11 pat leather, and that's pretty much what Iverson was trying to go for when he was designing these shoes with the company. He really liked the Jordan 11 that much, so he was trying to incorporate the design into his own shoes, basically. So the only difference here is that you have a eye stay section that's attached to the pat leather that actually loops through the lacing section there. This is like a bike life shoe, man. You know what I'm saying? Them bikes got this type of paint on it, you know what I mean? The paint colorway. But anyways, yeah, man, super cool. Now obviously this hexalite is not real, it's just there for, you know, aesthetic purposes. Aesthetic. But I mean, the cutout here is a little bit sloppy. I'm a little bit upset with that, just, you know, because these things are glued on, and you know, on top of that, it's, you know, they didn't even get the mold right. It looks like they kind of like it's off center there, or they displaced it, so that's a quality control issue there. I'm so used to seeing functional air on Nikes and Jordans that like it's kind of weird that doesn't do anything, and it's like you can tell it's fake. And the same is with the back here as well. It's kind of the same issue where it's off center, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. Moving on to the rear portion here, you have a very sturdy nylon lining, and this back here is in another kind of more tough leather there, and that's obviously to help with stability. But it's a good idea to put that heavy leather there because this stuff is super plush and soft, and for that, you know, that stability back there, you want something a little bit more sturdy. Q with the Reebok vector there, obviously for question mid, and this outline in nylon red, which is a very nice accent. That's actually a pat leather patch surrounding a stitched 3, which is really kind of cool. It's very different. I've never seen that on the middle of an outsole before, but interesting nonetheless. Reebok coming again with that storytelling, man. I'm telling you, boy. Here's where we get into the outsole. Now the outsole is really nice. This rubber is very tacky to the feel, and it's very sticky to the touch. Now I can imagine that, you know, with this type of material, if you're gonna have to be wiping the shoes down pretty often because it's really sticky to the touch, man. And you have your Reebok branding, Reebok vector, and actually you can't see it, but there's another Reebok vector hidden underneath this smoky midsole. Now you guys seen the commercial whipping the street sleighs at people and catch them. oh, Santa Claus, oh. Yeah, I wish Santa Claus was like that. Now, obviously, you guys know I'm not a fan of mids of clear soles or anything like this, but if you are gonna go with a clear sole, why not go with something that's smoky in texture? Because even when this gets old, it's gonna look the same. But anyways, you have this non-marking outsole marking here, and that means obviously, hopefully, it's not gonna leave no marks on your mama's floor when you come in after playing ball. You got the fake hexalite, you know what I mean? We already know about that. We already know about that Reebok. Let's get that real hexalite put back up in there, man. But you know what I mean? It's just has a window there with some hexalite. Nothing too special, man. It's not even real. I do wish they would put the real hexalite back in there, but whatever. You can't ask for too much. Now, let's get to the cool part of the shoe, which was my favorite on this side. And this is part of the reason why I bought the shoe, because of this contrast with the Grinch lacing. Super dope. You got a reflective kind of flake inside of the Grinch green laces, and this really makes the shoe pop. I wonder why Reebok decided not to market it with the green laces on and put more pictures, because clearly this pops way more. So I actually have two pairs here. I ordered one pair first, and that was this pair here on the right, which is a size 10, and I found out the hard way that you got to go up half a size, in which case I swiftly ordered the size 10 and a half. The only way to tell sometimes about build quality in shoes is to get multiple pairs. So sometimes if I'm not sure I got a good pair or not, I'll order more than one of the same shoe and I'll return the one that isn't as good. Now, here are some differences that I can tell based off of looking at the two shoes, because sometimes they're not actually made in the same factory. Some noticeable differences now. Okay, this 10 was actually worn. I could tell. It's one of those shoes that got tried on and returned beforehand, and I could tell because the laces come like this when you get the shoes. They actually have the Grinch pair on the very top, and it's tucked in, and there was a whole lot less paper and just a bunch of different stuff. There was some creasing on the toe box just ever so slightly, and it's just stuff that I could tell that basically led me to believe that the shoe was already worn. And this is one of my problems with these shoes. The hexalite bubble does not sit on the mold very well of the midsole. It kind of like pokes out. Now, this is the 10, and on the 10 and a half, which was brand new, wrapped up really nicely, you could see about how much like worse of a glue job that is, and it kind of looks like the thing's about to pop out already, right? Like you can imagine that's sitting on your foot and you step down, it looks like it's about to come out, and I'm gonna have to glue that back on. So that's one thing I'm not super happy about. One thing I notice is that the Q isn't straight on all four of these. They're not 100% straight. So like for instance, right, we'll take the left shoe of each sneaker and we'll compare them. Now if you look at the right Q is very straight. It's very like symmetrical from the left to the right. Now, if you look at the left shoe, which is the brand new pair that I ordered, you can tell it's slightly off to the right, just ever so slightly. It's crept off to the right. Now, if you look at them side by side, I don't know if you can tell. You see one here, this one's off to the right, and this one's completely center. Right, so that's one thing I noticed. Another thing I noticed is the threes on the bottom. Now this 3 is very crooked, and the other 3 on this pair, the 10 and a half, is actually straighter than the other one, but this 3 is actually they're both kind of crooked, and you know there's a little bit of bubbling on that and stuff like that. It's just not glued on very nice, and that's one thing I noticed that I wasn't too happy about. Now the third thing I noticed was the tumbling. Now the pair that was worn before actually has a lot softer of a leather. Even when I squeeze it, it's super soft and plushy, and the tumbling is very nice on that, and it's just really soft. But on the other side of the shoe, there almost is no tumbling at all. It's kind of smooth, so it shows you they're really taking different patches of leather. I wish that they would, you know, there's nothing you can really do about that, because that's even the same on Jordans. Sometimes one half of the Jordan is actually more tumbled than the other. But the thing is, on this pair of shoes here, which is the pair that I just got, it's a little bit more stiff. It's still tumbled and it's still soft, but it doesn't have as nice of a tumbling as this pair. That looks like straight up goddamn skin, like they took that shit off the cow's back. But yeah, man, that is a wicked, let me get close to that just so you guys can see that. Like, that is like crazy tumbling. Like, the leather on that is insane, you know. So that's one thing I am really happy with, but that's only on one side, because then you flip it and then the other side is super smooth, right? Vectoring is really sharp. Like, this vector is really sharp looking, right? And then you have more sloppy ones on the old pair. Now look at the old pair vector, right? That's a lot more sloppy. You see the stitching just isn't as quality. And then I switched to this pair and it's just super sharp, man. Like, you know what I mean? So definitely differences in build quality, certain placing, the stitching, you know what I mean? And you can just kind of see for yourself. Like, but a couple things I like about this shoe is the materials used. You obviously have this cotton / polyester inner. You know, the tongue is actually pretty interesting. So here we have your Reebok vector. The tongue's pretty wide and covers a decent amount of your foot, so it actually is pretty comfortable. And underneath that, you have that mesh that's very similar to what you find on the foam posits. Very fluffy and very airy, so you get some, at least a decent amount of aeration in these shoes. I mean, they do tend to get hot because they're a 90s shoe. Now, what do we have when we squeeze the booty up? Yo, dog, whew, man, dog, 90s. I mean, baby got back. But anyways, yeah, man, on the inside you have a Reebok branding there with the red on the inside, and it's nothing too crazy there, man. It's a red, but it looks like, you know what I'm saying, somebody got stabbed with that vector. I don't know what happened, but anyways, yeah, man, super dope shoe. I do like how it reminisces on the Jordan 11's design, and it's something that is pretty cool. I mean, it's good to look back on these shoes. This is one of those shoes in high school I couldn't get because I was like too poor. I couldn't afford these joints, and in this colorway, it's one of my favorite colorways. I'm a sucker for a red and black colorway. What do you guys think of these? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Unfortunately, I know that on footlocker.com these are completely sold out, but in footlocker.ca there's full sizing, dogs. You gotta love it when this stuff goes on sale, man. In Canada, these sat like bricks, but in America, these was like gone in 60 seconds on some Nicolas Cage shit. So if you guys can get your hand on a pair from footlocker.ca, I'd highly suggest going over there because they got full sizing, they restocked, and these bad boys sat for months after Christmas. I couldn't believe it. So I definitely waited till they went on sale, picked them up, and got them lickety split. And I wanted to review them for you guys to make sure that you guys got some heat, because in the future these things will be going up in price. I promise you that. These are gonna be worth something in a little bit. You guys slept on them, but they're gonna be worth something in a year or two. I promise you, because this is one of those wicked colorways that like people just were too focused on other drops, all the Jordan hype beasts and all that, when they were missing out on this quality. Like, look at this leather, dog. Like, let me know what you guys think of these hoes, man. I really like these shoes. I was waiting for them to go on sale, and they finally went on sale, and I was praying to God they wouldn't just run out of, you know, sizes before I got to them. So hail to the sneaker gods that I copped this. And I feel bad for all my American viewers, because I know that these are sold out at footlocker.com and they're in full sizing in footlocker.ca. So win for the Canadians for once. So anyways, guys, that's my review for today. Back with another banger. See you guys on another one on foot coming up next.